To celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in its truest sense, the Government of India envisages that our cities are stigma-free and barrier-free for everyone, irrespective of their abilities, age, and gender. To fulfill the vision of inclusive development, cities need to take transformative actions towards India's emerging urban agenda. Under the patronage of MOHUA, NIUA, along with their strategic partner IIT-Kharagpur and many others, are taking path-breaking initiatives towards Sugamya and Atmanirbhar Bharat. In the last 2 years since its inception, Building Accessible, Safe, Inclusive Indian Cities, or BASIC program, has been able to achieve many aspirational milestones on mainstreaming disability inclusion into the urban agenda. The Inclusive City Framework, ICF, prepared by IIT Kharagpur in collaboration with NIUA, has been one of the milestone achievements of the program. The ICF, launched in December 2021, consists of a set of policies and strategies which urban local bodies, smart city boards, and other relevant agencies need to follow while making an Indian city safe, accessible, and inclusive. This is a 4-module self-paced online course which explains the Inclusive City Framework ICF developed by IIT Kharagpur in collaboration with NIUA. The course is available online through the National Urban Learning Platform or NULP of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in the following website. Additionally, you are required to download the ICF document from the NIUA website for implementation.
The vision of ICF is to empower all citizens, irrespective of their physical, sensory, and cognitive limitations. The framework promotes accessibility and suggests strategies for improving opportunities for participation by all. To begin with, this course provides a holistic understanding of the barriers in the urban places, systems, and services. Second, it provides a realistic assessment technique for inclusivity rating of cities. And last but not the least, it provides a robust framework comprising of planning standards and feedback and monitoring mechanism system. Sector-specific inclusive planning guidelines are given along with strategies for implementation, monitoring, and review. So if we look into the course objectives, it primarily targets to familiarize the professionals with the need, vision, and objectives of an inclusive city, educating them about different types of barriers, physical, psychological, socio-cultural, and institutional barriers faced by the vulnerable groups of people. The course then takes a deep dive into the existing acts, policies, strategies, and design guidelines on inclusive planning, while discussing the global and national best practices. Technical knowledge on different components and indicators of safe, accessible, and inclusive cities is shared. Finally, as I said, it introduces the participants to a robust frameworks which includes assessing, planning, implementing, and monitoring of inclusive strategies in every sector of urban life within their respective domain of engagement.
Who is this course for? Officials of urban local bodies, development authorities, PWD and SPBs, professional architects, town planners, civil engineers, officials of PHE department and PSU working in the field of providing urban services, disability officers at state and district level, state and central government institutions working for the vulnerable groups, NGOs working for the vulnerable groups, faculty of architecture, town planners, civil engineers, students of architecture, town planners, civil engineers. What would you learn from this course? Why do we need an inclusive city? Which are some of the related technical terms and definitions? Who are the target group and their needs and priorities? What are the types of barriers? What are the benefits of inclusive cities? What is the role of different stakeholders in making cities safe, accessible, and inclusive? What is the global vision, guidelines, strategies, and good practices on inclusion? What are the steps taken by India in terms of acts, guidelines, policies, and good practices? How does the inclusive city framework help in making cities safe, accessible, and inclusive? What should be the effective steps for the city authorities and other important stakeholders towards making cities safe, accessible, and inclusive? Now, why do we need an inclusive city? Inclusive city must ensure that everyone, including people with disabilities, the elderly, and parents with children, can participate in society and access built environment, transport services, and urban amenities, including recreation, and also livelihood and information. You will know the barriers to inclusion from the following pictures, like this one here.
The aim of this self-paced course is to translate the technical document Inclusive City Framework into simplified modules and provide a deeper learning on provisions of accessibility and inclusion. With focus on transformative projects, the inclusive city principles can be integrated at 3 levels: urban retrofitting or redevelopment projects, pan city development, and greenfield city. We appreciate that inclusion is a multi-sectoral phenomenon, and a major focus of inclusion should be sectoral integration. The ICF has identified 6 sectors like housing, physical and social infrastructure, including health, sanitation, and education, urban mobility, livelihood, citizen participation, digitization, tourism and recreation, all integrated with the help of a monitoring mechanism, feedback system, and planning standards. Now, if we look into the structure of the course, there are 4 modules. Module 1 introduces the course, discusses about the different types of tangible and intangible barriers, roles and responsibilities of different stakeholders in the process. National and global good practices on inclusion are also discussed in this. Module 2 has successfully compiled the acts, guidelines, and regulations for inclusive design in India. Hyperlinks are provided, which will guide the participants to necessary reading materials. Module 3 explains the structure, technical content, and the working of ICF. The inclusive city scoring mechanism has also been explained in this, along with the rating process, evaluation technique, application, and utility. Aim 4 has been divided into further subsections, one for each sector. As mentioned earlier, it talks about exhaustive checklist for each sector along with the relevant planning standards which were already discussed in module 2. Along with this, every module has some MCQs integrated within the theoretical content for the purpose of self-assessment for the participants to assess their level of absorption of the course material. The course summarizes by introducing a hands-on exercise in which the participants will be involved in the process of assessing, planning, implementing, and monitoring inclusive development in every sector of urban life in the city they live or work. So what's the intended outcome of this course? It attempts to strengthen the understanding on the need for integration of the provisions of universal accessibility into regular urban planning, propagate the provisions on inclusivity across the 6 identified sectors of ICF with proper technical guidelines and planning standards. It will help a lot in augmenting the capacities of different stakeholders on integration and evaluation of the progress of inclusion in the respective city. Happy learning.